In this video, we'll be looking at using the Schooly EdTech application as a super user. I am currently logging as a super user. If you are logging and you can see go to admin panel on the list of the menu by the left side where my mouse arrow is, it means you are a super user. So with the link, you can go to the admin panel. I am currently in the admin panel. This window allows you to be able to use the application as a super user or as a staff user. The super user is able to perform all activities in this window, while the staff user can only perform allowed tasks. That is the tasks that are permitted by the super user. So as you log in as the super user, you can view all the modules that make up all the application. On the window, we can see all the modules available in the application, from the attendance down to the users, where we have profile. In each module, you will see all the sub menus. For instance, in attendance module, you can see attendance. Authentication and authorization, you will see groups, users. Blog, you see comments and post. Under curriculum, we have class groups, lessons, season, and the rest. And so also it goes through all the modules. You have to be careful when you are in these windows because anything that you do may not be reversed once you confirm deletion of it. So let us move around the windows. Up here, you will see the username. Currently, I'm logging as an admin. We can view the site, which will take us back to the original user-friendly portal window. You can change your password and you can log out from this top window. Then we have the site administration windows. On each of the module, we have three activities that can be done. The attendance, for instance, if you click on the attendance, it takes us to the attendance window where all the attendance that has been recorded can be viewed. If we go back, we will notice the add button. The add button simply means we can add new attendance. So it will bring out a form, so it is applicable to every module that you see the add button. For instance, in the attendance now, we have the attendance form, which displays all the attendance record required to mark daily attendance. If I pick a student, pick the class, the session, the term, the attendance date, which is today, the morning status, when you tick the box, it simply means yes. If you don't tick any of these two boxes, when you tick morning status, you simply say that the student was present in the morning. If you leave the afternoon unchecked, then it means the student was not available in the afternoon during the marking of the attendance. But if you tick the two, it simply means the student was available in the morning and in the afternoon. The authorized sign, you can just indicate your name as the class teacher or you can leave it blank. So I'm going to save this attendance. And it will take us back to the attendance list window where you can see the new attendance has been added. As you can see up here, the attendance of Ogu Precious was added successfully. You can add multiple attendance straight away by just saving and adding new. Let's do that now. Add attendance. This is Ogu. That was XS3. Always be careful that you don't mark a student twice. Below, we see three buttons here: save and add another, save and continue editing. So I'm going to use the save and add another so that we can return to this window instead of going back to the attendance list window. So with this, the attendance has been added. I can pick the next student and keep using the save and add another until the whole attendance is taken. That is for the attendance. The next module is the authentication and authorization module. The authentication and authorization module is a very sensitive module. This is where you set groups permissions and you can view all the users of this application. So let's look at the users. Click on the users and you will see all the users that are currently registered on this application, and you can see their staff status. The staff status simply means their role in this panel. You can notice here that the status of only one is tick green, which is the admin, which is the account I'm currently using for this video, and the rest do not have staff status. It simply means that they cannot access this panel to do anything. They are only restricted to the dashboard, the general user dashboard, either as a teacher or student or as an admin. So we can see all the users here. We can click on any of the users to edit information about the user. This is a user, Michael. If I should click on Michael, you will see things that can be done on each of the user. I am using it as a super user. Only a super user should be allowed to do all this. If a user has forgotten his password and requested this admin to reset the password, the application is designed in such a way that the admin cannot see your password, cannot know your password. But in case of eventuality like that you forgot your password, you don't have any email to reset the password, then you can contact the admin who is a super user. Then the super user can reset the password for you. The super user can only reset the password for you. The super user cannot remember your password, cannot see your password. I can change the username. You can edit the username. Raw passwords are not stored, so there is no way to see this user's password, but you can change the password using this form. In case we need to change the password for this user that has forgotten his password or her password, we can just use this form. If I click on this form, you can see you cannot create a new password which you can send to that user. The user can then reset the password using the email or the forgotten password email configuration in the login section. But we are not resetting this particular password. Otherwise, we would have put in a new password twice and then change it. This user will now be able to access the dashboard, the portal, with the new password. So let's go back to the previous window. Now, the personal information about this user is blank. The first name, the last name is blank, but the email is available. Now, on the permission, you can see we have 3 levels. The active means that this user can access this application, but not this admin panel. It can log into our usual portal windows, but it cannot access this panel. Please take note of that. But if we should deselect the box active, it just means that the user can no more log in, will not have access to this application at all. This user is currently active. Then we have the staff status. The staff status designates whether the user can log into this admin site, like I've explained. So if you tick this, it just means that this particular user can access this admin panel. And if you tick the super user status, designate that this user has all permissions without explicitly assigning them. You don't need to assign any permission to the user. He will log into the admin section and then perform any task that he likes. So you should be careful with the user that you assign super user status. So this user is currently not a super user status, but I'm going to assign this staff status so that it can help us in this video lesson. So now with the staff status, we go down again. Now we tick the staff status, which designates whether the user can log into this admin site. So it has a status here. Then in permission, user permission, we can select the permission we will want this user to access. We have all the modules listed here: admin to attendance to authentication, blog, and all the modules that makes up this application. all the modules in this application. So let's give Michael permission to access the student information and to add more student information. So we can see here we have student modules all from here. Student, the admission application, student badges, can add my student. Then we have student details. Let us go to student details and say can view student details. So once you click the arrow button, it gives the user a permission that is listed. We can send that back also. We can say we don't want the user to be able to do that. So you can use this arrow to and fro. If you click the forward arrow, it's going to add the permission for the user. If you click the backward arrow and select a permission, it's going to send it back, remove it from the list of the permission for that user. So we are looking at the student details. So we are going to select student, and you can use the control key on your computer. Hold down the control key and select multiple permissions. So like I have done, I've selected student detail, can add student detail, can change student detail, can delete student detail. So these are the permissions that we are going to give to this user. This user will not have permission to access any other modules other than these 3 modules. So we are going to save that. You can see now that Michael has been added to the staff status and given a green tick box there. So let's log out as the super user and log in as Michael and view how the window is going to look like in Michael's environment. Now we are logging as Michael. As you can see, Michael can access the admin panel, but Michael cannot see all the other modules. The responsibility for Michael here is just to add student detail, delete student detail, and update student detail. So let's look at it. You can see Michael can see all the students that are registered in the school. Michael can click on any of the students and access all the details of that student, and can modify the details of the student, can update it. Let's say this number and this email is for the mother. Michael can change that and save it, and that will go to save it as the mother. So you can see Michael can perform only the tasks that have been assigned by the super user. So note this, a task that you're going to assign to any user that you want to access the admin panel. You can see that Michael cannot see all the users of this application. Michael cannot see who is the super admin, who is a user, and what role is that person playing, and Michael cannot set permission. Michael can only access only this module, the student module. So this can be done to assign tasks to different category of staff in the school. Like the account staff can be given permission to access the payment information, and the form teachers can be assigned to see the student details and modify stuff in the student details. So this is how to set up the staff status for a user. We'll log out as Michael and log in back as the admin. In order to make assigning user with permission, we can create groups that will help us to know which permission is given to a particular group. So all we will just need to do is to add a user to that group. So creating group, you can see groups. Under the authentication and authorization, I click on groups and you see we don't currently have any group. We can add groups straight away here by clicking on this button, add groups. So let's add group and say this is account access. So this group we have created as account access. You can give the group the name of the responsibility you want to give that set of user. Let's say is a admission officer access, which should be able to access all the student information, or we say okay, this access will be given only to for payment or account. Say payment and account access. So you can give the group any name you wish. So for the payment and the account access, let's look at the modules. So we can see payment modules here. We can see bank detail, can add bank detail of the school, can change bank detail, can delete bank details and all that. So whatever responsibility we want to give this group, creating a group simply means that it will not be only one user that is there. We may have only one user, we may have several users there, but their permission will be limited to that group setting. So let's say we are given the payment and account group all the access of payment. We just select the first one, scroll down to the last on the payment module, hold down the control key on your keyboard, or sorry, the shift key rather. If you hold the shift key, it will select all. If you hold the control key, you can select one after the other. I'm using the control key now, so I can select the next, the next, the next. But if you use the shift key, just select the first one from the payment, hold down the shift key, then you can scroll down to the last list on the payment, and it will select everything together. So let's send it to the choosing permission box. So you can see that all the permission for payment has been given to this group. So we can save now, or save and add another group. Save and add another. So let's create another group. This group can perform some administrative tasks and then add result for the student. So I've given it a name, admin, and results. So let's look for results. We have results here. So I'm going to hold the shift key and check the last on the results module and go like that. Now, if we don't want this group to perform any of the tasks, we can come here now, okay, can add examination, can change examination, can delete examination. If you don't want it to delete examination, we can just click this and send it back. Remove it from this. You can see on the examination, the group can add examination, can change examination, but cannot delete examination. So be careful on the permission that you are giving each of the groups. Now we have two groups created, the admin and result, then we have the payment and account access. Users can be added to this group. This is the way to create groups and then the assigning user to the groups. So now let us go back to the user module. So we have the list of users here. So we can create a new user. Let's create a new user. The process of adding new user is the same, or adding new record generally is the same in all the modules. So I want to add a new user. I want to give this user a name called Rachel. And I want to put a password for Rachel. So I'm going to save the user. This is the way to add new user. It's a quick way to add a user to the portal. So with this, we can add several users. See, immediately I add the user, we have this window, so we can put the first name, the last name, even email, and set it for the user. Under permission, we can pick the permission. We want this user to be a staff. Remember, the super user, you have to be very careful assigning super user. So we want the user to be a staff. Simply means that it can belong to any of the groups that we have created. So I have two groups created here. Okay, it can be a member to this group. Yeah, of course, you can select more groups if you want the user to belong to several groups. The user will have access to those permissions under the group. But for now, we want this user to belong to the payment and account access. So let's add that and remove the admin access. So with this, there are other information down that you don't need to edit. You can see we have a new user called Rachel that has a staff status, and Rachel belongs to the payment and account access. So let's log out and log in as Rachel and see what module can this user access. Now we are logging as the user Rachel, as you can see up here, and you can see this user has access only to the payment module. So the user can see all the payment that has been made. The user can view all the payments category. The user can also add new payment. That is our payment chart, add new payment chart, and the user can see payment details and know which student has paid, which student is owing, and all the information that relates to the payment detail. You can approve payment. If you click on this and go down and say it is not approved, of course that payment will be disapproved, that it has not been confirmed. To confirm, the user can confirm payment. That is what it simply means. The same setting that we have given to the attendance, we can do with the blog. If blog is added to your site, this is where you manage the blogs. On the curriculum, We have the class group, the lessons, the sessions, the standard, subject, and terms. This is where you set all this. So as admin, you can quickly set all this right in the admin panel here, or whoever that you have given such permission, or whichever group that has been given such permission can access the curriculum. Let's look at what the class group. The class group simply means the section of the classes, like JS1A, JS1B. So that is what it means. So you can register the class groups here. Lessons has to do with the e-learning, when we are creating e-learning lessons for students to access. So that is what the lesson module does. Then we have session. We need to register the session that the school has either gone through or the current section. If you add the past session, simply means you want to add record for even the past session for the student. But if you want to start from where you start using the portal, you can just register only the current session. So let's view the session. With the session, you can see we have 2023-24 session. Let's assume we want to add another session. Maybe next year's session is going to be 2024-2025 session. You don't need to do anything with this log. This log will be added automatically by itself. But if you have description to give to the session, you can write your description here. So that is the way to add a new session. So we can add a new session. We can delete the session. We can just click on 2024-25 session. Use this button action and say delete the selected session. So I'm going to delete the selected session. So you can see confirm your delete and it's gone. This action cannot be reversed. That's why you must be careful with people that have access to the admin section. So things can be deleted without your knowledge. Let's add another task to the curriculum. We have the standards module. The standard modules enables us to quickly register all the standard in the school, all the classes. So let's add more classes. We have primary 1, nursery 2, primary 2, primary 3. So let's add more. Primary 4 and 5. So we do primary 4. You can leave this log and the description. Save and add another. So with this, we have added more sections. So it is a very fast way of adding all these classes. So we have primary 4, primary 5, and then we can add the rest. Just 1, 2. So we have more classes registered. That is the way to register all the standard, all the classes in the school. Then we have subjects. The subject here is different from the subject under examination. We have subjects. Under curriculum, we have subjects. Under examination, we have subjects. Under result, rather, we have subjects. We have exam subjects. The subjects under curriculum are the e-learning subjects. There are subjects that you may take as e-learning and you don't take as exam. You need to register subjects under curriculum. You can see the way these subjects are registered. We have e-math, e-English, and all that. And the subjects are registered for each of the classes because the e-learning is meant to be accessed by different classes for different subjects. So we can have e-English, e-English, and for SS3. So that means we can still have another e-English junior, maybe JSS, and then call it English. I will say this one is for JS3. Do we have JS3? Oh, we have only JS2. So let's change it to JS for JS2. So we leave this log as usual and we save it. So you can see for the e-learning, we have several English. You can see we have English for the SS, we have English for the JS. It simply means that when a JS2 student logs in into the e-learning portal, they can access this English. And an SS3 student that logs in will only be able to access the English for the SS3 e-learning. So the e-learning subjects are repeated severally for different classes, but the exam subjects under results, you can register only a subject that will cover for all the classes. Like we have the chemistry, computer, English language. This English language can be applied to all the classes from primary to secondary. So it will be applied to them because it is exam. We don't need to repeat the subject here. So just register all the subjects in the school once. That is for the exam subject. But for the curriculum subject, you need to register them for each of the classes. and this is when you are deploying e-learning for the classes. So you can always do that at the point of creating a lesson for a particular class and particular subject. So you can always do that. But to start with, on your portal, you must register all the examinable subjects. So we can add more subjects here. We have social studies. So let's add geography. Let's add physics. These are exam subjects. Note, they are not e-learning subjects. You can still have them as an e-learning subject, but you have to register that under the curriculum. You can use any subject ID. I'm using Geo as geography and PHY as physics. So you can use any method you like for the subject ID, but the subject ID must be unique. So we have been able to register more subjects for the exam. As you can see, we have the subject ID, then we have the subject name. So the subject name, the fixes can be for SS2, SS3. So it will pick and then identify the class by itself. That is the difference between the curriculum subject and the result exam subject. They are two different things as explained. So let's go back to the curriculum. Then we have the term. The term has to be registered. We have second term, first term for which of the session. This enables us to track all the terms. And then here is where we register the start of the term and the end of the term, so that this thing can be recorded in the student results. So like we have second term here. Let's go back to first term. We have first term 2022-2024 here. So you can see that the start date and the end date is not set. So let's say the start date is September the 18th, and then the end date is December the 15th, for instance. So we have been able to set the start date and the end date for each of the term. So you can see here we have the first term 2023. This start date is September the 18th and the end date is this. So you can set the start date and the end date. So this will be useful during result collation. Then we have the lessons. Setting up the lessons for the e-learning as explained. So you can see we have 2 lessons already created here. We can add more lessons right from the admin session. Let's create a new lesson. So we can create a new lesson for which of the classes. Let's say we want to pick for SS3. You pick the standard. Then who is creating it? You will see all the list of the users on this application here, which is going to include even students and the teachers and the admin and all that. So, but if you are the one creating it, you are the currently login user, so it automatically picks you there. So what is the lesson ID? Let's say SS3 English, and let's say this is the lesson ID is PRN, because we have to give the lesson name also. So the lesson ID, just for us to just know, this is the ID for the lesson. Then what is the name? The name is actually the topic we are talking about. So let's say it's pronoun, for instance. Now we say the topic you are addressing in that lesson. That is what you put in the name. You select the standard created by you, give the lesson ID. Remember, the ID cannot be repeated, so the ID has to be unique. Which chapter are you talking about on this topic? We have maybe chapter 3 or chapter 1. You can enter the chapter there. Always leave the slug. You don't need to do anything with the slug. The slug is automatically generated. Then the e-learning enables us to upload video lesson, presentation lesson. We can attach file, we can attach other notes, and we can type the detail of the lesson here. So if we have some detail about the lesson, whatever the pronouns is, we can directly type it here. And whoever that has the privilege to set up e-lesson also can log into the admin panel as a staff, and then can access the e-learning and set all this. So we can make the teachers to have access to this window so that they can set up their e-learning classes right from here. Now on the video, this is where we type the video URL. This is the video link, and we have advised that the school should host the video on their YouTube channel. Then we'll put the link to the video here. This is how to do it. We'll go to a YouTube channel, pick a video, and then we'll look at how we can push that video into our e-learning class. So I am currently on a YouTube channel. If you click on a video to watch, look at the URL up there where we have the https youtube.com. Copy that URL and then we go back to our portal, our admin portal, and paste the URL there. This should be a video that is already uploaded to your YouTube channel, to your school YouTube channel. So a video on YouTube has a link that is exactly like this. So it has the video ID which starts from here, so that equal to mark, that is from the equals to. So this is the unique ID for that video. Then we have this watch question mark v equals to. So that is what we are going to remove. Make sure you don't remove the ID of the video itself. This is what I'm going to repeat that. Look at, we have the https www.youtube.com, then we have watch question mark or whatever thing that is there. It may not really be watch. It depends on where you copy the video from the interface you copied. If you copy it from your channel where you are editing, of course it's going to be a different thing. It's going to be edit and whatever, but make sure you identify that this is the unique ID of the video. Then all we just need to do is to replace this, the watch, with embed. Just put a slash there to separate it from the video ID. So you can see I've removed the watch, I've replaced it with this embed. This is when it can be available on the e-learning and the student can watch directly using streaming it right from your YouTube channel. You can make the video private so that the public will not see the video, but your student can access the video. So this is how to upload the e-learning lesson, information on the e-learning lesson. We have the lesson ID for which standard created by the currently login user, the subject, you select the subject from the subject list, then the topic of that lesson, the chapter number if it is a chaptered lesson, but if it is not a chapter lesson, you can just put chapter 1 there. The slug, we don't do anything there. If you have files that need to be uploaded, maybe we have a PDF file from our system or from our phone that we want to attach to this lesson, we can click on this choose file also, which takes us to where the computer is, and then we can pick the file that we want there. Then we have the notes also, we can attach notes, and we can type directly inside here for the lesson. If we already have information we want to type about the lesson, we may not necessarily put a video, it could be a textual lesson, so we can paste all the text here or type all the information we want concerning that lesson right here. Then having checked all correctly, then we can save our e-learning class. So with this now, we have added a new lesson to the e-learning. The student can access this once they log in, but it must be an SS3 student that can access it. You can see this is our new lesson, SS3, English language SS3. You can see that it is repeated. We have the English language SS3, that is figure of speech. We have the English language SS3, that is pronoun. So that is what I said about the e-learning lesson can be severally repeated. So you can see e-learning lesson for English for SS3 can have several classes. So you will see all the subjects listed there. So this will enable the user, the author, to come here, click on it and edit it. As a super user, you can edit any lesson of any user, but as a user, you cannot edit the lesson of another teacher. So that is that about the lesson. Then we go to the inventory. Click on the inventory. You can see our inventory administration, where we can add new inventory or edit our inventory. So you can just click straight on the inventory items. So we don't have current inventory items here, but we can add the school inventory items. This inventory module enables us to manage all the inventories in the school, to know where an item is and who is in charge of an item. So for instance, let's say we have HP laptop. Then the description, item location, we say is currently in, and who is in charge of that item. We pick all the staffs, which are the teachers. It's going to pick all the staff. We say this person is in charge of it. The date we are recording this item is October 3rd, and then we save it. So we can see our inventory list here. So this enables us to track all the inventory in the school, know the location. This particular laptop is in this location, and this staff is in charge of that laptop. The next module we are going to look at is the notification module. The notification module enables us to send messages to users of this app. The notification module enables us to send information to the users of the portal. We click on the notification, you can see what we can do about the notification module. notification. We don't currently have a notification. We can add a notification, and in the notification, we are looking at the sender, the recipient, the subject, and the content. So the sender, who is sending this notification, we say is admin that is sending the notification, the admin or whichever user that is sending the notification to who. You can see to admin, or we can select user here, and we can use the control key or the shift key to select multiple users. So we can select with control key, we can pick different user, and with the shift key you can select all the users. So let's say we want to send to all the users, then we can give it a subject. If there are attached files that we need to attach, then we can attach files also, and we can send this notification. This notification has been sent, and we can have a record of it in the admin. So the sender is admin, and it was sent to several users on this date, and this is the subject of it. We can still go back and read that notification. On notification also, we can set the school calendar. The school calendar is a notification that is sent to all the students to know what programs the school has for a particular session and particular term. Event name, let's say midterm break. Event description, or any other description you feel you can put there. Then the event date, starting on maybe 25th of December. The duration is going to be for 4 days, 5 days, whatever number of days. You can add it there. So with this, the student gets to check the school calendar and see all the events the school has and the duration of the events. With the payment module, we can add all the payments associated tasks to our portal: bank detail, payment categories, payment charts, and then we can view the payment detail, that is submitted payment. This is where we can approve payment or disapprove payment, that is confirming a payment is made or not. So let's check the bank details. We can view all the bank details that have been registered, and these are the bank details that the student will see in their portal. We can delete a bank detail, we can add more bank details. Then we have the payment categories. This is where we set the categories for all the payments. That is for uniform, books, tuition currently registered there. We can remove any of them by checking it and then deleting such, or we can add more to the payment category and just add more payment category to it. On the payment also, we have the payment chart. This is a comprehensive detail of all the payment that is required by the school. In this, we select the category and the amount due and for which section. So let's try to check any of them. Secondary school, where we can edit it. If you click on it, we can check all the details that have been entered. If there's any adjustment, we can make such adjustment. If none, then we can go back. We can add new payment chart here. To add new payment chart, we need to provide the category that that payment chart falls into under uniform, then the session for this session, for which term. If there is no term, you don't need to really pick any, you can pick any other time. If it is a generic payment, they pay regardless of the term. But if it is for a particular term, you can select the term here. Then what is it for? We want to say school uniform, senior secondary. So that is the name of the payment, and it's for the category is uniform. Then the amount is 45,000. So we have added new payment category. You can see the payment name is school uniform senior secondary. It falls under the category of uniform, and the amount is this, and the first. So the students will be able to see this when they are making payment to select what payment they want to make. So we go back to the payments and we see that is the payment chart. We can check the payment details. The payment details enables us to see the list of payment that has been made. The admin or whoever that is in charge of the payment module can make payment on behalf of a user right from here and even confirm payment. So we have only one payment that has been made. Let's make more payments, add new payment details. So we get to select the payee who is making the payment. We'll see all the users, so we have to know the identity of that particular student. If you don't know the username of the student, of course you can start from the second input here, student details. Here it will pull out all only the students in the school. So we want to say it is this particular student, and then with the username here, we can know the username to pick from the list of user that is going to be displayed here. So it's this. It has to be the same username here and here. Then the payment name. This student is paying for. You can see all the payment list here. The primary tuition fee or primary book, secondary tuition fee, secondary sportswear, secondary uniform, senior secondary, or whatever that the payment is, we select it. Then how much is the student paying? The student is paying 40,000, for instance. And then which of the bank has the student made the payment to? Remember, this payment must have been made. This is just a way of registering the payment in our portal. So it has been made to the school GTB bank. And if there's any description, we enter the description. The payment date is mandatory. When was the payment made? It was made on the 6th. And then the installment level, is it the first installment, second installment, third, or is it complete once and for all payment? So it's a first installment because this student will definitely have a balance of 5,000. So the payment method, it was paid maybe cash. Then in this case, we have said cash and a bank has been selected here, and the bank must be selected. You can add cash there in the bank, because you can add the bank detail right from here. When you see the plus sign in front of any of the input, simply means you can add a new option there. So if we should click a new option here and say is cash, for instance, and then it doesn't require account details and all that, the person has paid in cash. So if you click on it and if you come here, you can see the bank name is cash. So there's no payment there because this person is picking the option of payment method is cash. So the person has paid cash. So you can select any of the banks here. So I just put the bank as cash. So we have that information entered. Then the depositor who paid the money, then we are going to say is John, whoever. Then there's no need for payment teller. In this case, it was paid cash. Then if the payment has been confirmed by the school, then you can just tick the confirmed, or if not, you can just register the payment for the necessary person to accept the confirmation. So if it is be confirmed, so just say confirm and we save. So we have a new payment detail entered. You can see the payment has been confirmed. This student made the payment. This particular student made the payment of for school uniform and all that. So we can see all the payment here. The school can see all the payment that has been made. Let us look at the student module. The student module, we have the student module here where we have student details and badges here. So let's click on the student module. On the student module, we can add badges. Badges simply means a prefect position that has been given to a student, maybe class captain, senior boy, social prefect, and all that. So that is what the badges simply stand for. Then the student detail, we can view the student detail by seeing all the students that have been registered in the school. All this list of the students that have been registered, we can see all here. And we can see that this particular student has actually not been given a student username, which is not properly registered. So when you see something like this, you know that this student is not completely registered, while all these other two students are already registered. So on the student detail in window, we can see different things that can be done. We can filter students. We have the filter by the right side here. We can filter students by their classes. By currently we have all selected, so we are seeing all the students in all the classes, but we can filter by, okay, we want to see students only in primary one. You can see we can see all the students in primary one. If we want students in nursery 2, we don't currently have such. We want students in SS3, we can see all the students in SS3. So the filter is a very useful tool for us to select all the students and see all the detail of students in a particular class. We can go back to the all to see all the students that are currently registered here. We can edit the details of any of the students by clicking on the student. Like this student does not have a username. Let's click on it. It takes us to the detail, and the student doesn't have a username. So we can create a new username for this student. So let's register the student properly now. You see a plus button beside any of the input. It simply means you can add a new input there. So we are going to register this student as a new student. We are going to update the student rather. So we want to give the student a username 004. Then we provide a password for it. This is a very quick way of adding new student. So we have the student username, and you know the student username must be the same with the student username. They are stated twice here, so we have to pick the same username, type the same username. Then we have the name of the student. If we need to edit any of the name of the student, we can do that right from here. Remember, we are updating a particular student, so if all other information are the same, we can go on and save it. So this student is properly registered. Now you can see the student now has a username. But if you are that, we can update any of the students here. We can click on any of the students and update information if the phone number has changed. And this is where we update them also if their class has changed. In the next promotional exam, when they are promoted to the next class, you need to come to edit each of the students and change their class. So this student is now in SS whatever, so it has to be updated. So you can update the student detail, you can delete the student detail also. Right down here you can see you can delete the student detail if you don't want the student to if you mistakenly register a student, or you do not want the student record in the school database any longer. So we can do that. Let's go back to the previous window. We are now updating the student and look at other tools that can be used here. So the filter tools enable us to select a class and filter all the students in that class and see all the students in that class. We can add a new student, add student details. So let us add a new student. Adding a new student, we will see the blank window for adding a new student. So this is the process of adding a new student right from the admin portal. The student, we need to give this student a username. So let's register a new student 005 this time. So you can provide the password straight here and then save that. So it takes you back to this place. Then we have the student username, which has to be repeated. Then we can give the student a name. So let's give a name to this student and say it's Benjamin. The phone number, if the student has a phone number, you can use even the parent phone number here. Then the current class, we'll pick all the current class. If the current class is not even listed here, you can add a new current class and just tick the plus button. It takes us to this window. We can add a new class, but we are not doing that here. So we can pick a class for the student and say the student is in nursery 2. Then the class group, we can add new class group also if we have not set it up. When we are setting up the portal, we have AB diamond. Let's say this student is going to be in gold, so we can add a new one by saying this is gold. We are not giving any description, and we can see that it is gold that is selected. Then the class teacher, we're going to see the list of all the class teachers here. We can quickly add a new class teacher also by clicking this and going through the process of registering a new staff. You can see the form here, so you can register a new staff. So it's a shortcut way of getting details imputed into the forms here. So if the class teacher is already listed there, we say, okay, this is the class teacher. We would have seen the class teacher username and the full name of the class teacher. The student has a badge. Is it a prefect, a non-prefect? We can add, oh, this student is even the head, the social prefect or whatever. We can add new badge here. Clicking on that plus button takes us to a new window where we can add such badge. So it's a prefect. We say, okay, it's a prefect. We can click, it's a prefect. Then the student type, is it a day student or a border? It says day student. The address of the student, we can add address for the student. Then the region, we can pick the region. It's optional. We can leave it on selected. So it's west or it's east or it's whichever region. Then the gender is very important. Is a male student. The date of birth we can provide. The admission date should be provided. So in this case, we just pick any of the date as the admission date. The class on admission, the current class is what we have selected there. The current class of this student is nursery 2. The class on admission, that is when the student first joined the school, was actually nursery 1. Do we have nursery 1? We don't have nursery 1 there. So we can add nursery 1, as you can see here, that the class on admission is not even here. We have nursery 2. We don't have. So let's add nursery 1 because this student joined from nursery 1. So we can just say nursery 1 and add that straight. You see, we have nursery 1 as a class on admission. So the plus button is a very helpful tool that enables us to add quickly what information we require. Then the parent name is Mr. and Mrs. Okonkwo. Then if we have the parent detail address, we enter it here. That is the guardian name. It could be the parent, it could be any other relation. Now we have the guardian phone number, email, and the relationships. In this case, we say this is the father phone number. If you are providing email and phone number here, and the guardian name is both parents, and then we can provide the parent information. If we have more than one phone number, we can put that up here and then add additional phone number also here. So with this, we can save the student, but we need to check the student status. This student is an active student by default. Active is selected, so all students are active. But if this student has any other status, like it's a graduated student or it's a drop student, expelled student, we can add it there. So we do this when we are updating. So let us save the student detail. So we have successfully added a new student, which is this student to the database, this student 5 to the database. Now, the detail of all the students are listed here. We can scroll down. The more we populate the database, the more record of students that we have here. So we can edit detail like this student. These two students do not have a student guardian phone number. So we can always come there and pick it and then go to add the guardian phone number. If this number is just the same number, we can copy that and then pick it for the guardian phone number. We can paste a new phone number there and save. So at every point in time, we can edit detail of any of the students. If a student is promoted, you can just click on that student. You can select by the class, filter by the class, so that you see all the students in that class. Then you can edit the student. Let's say the student has been promoted. The current class is now, then the current class now is now primary 2. This is how to promote the student. So you just edit it, and that student falls into primary 2. So you can see that it's no more in primary 1 from our filter. So if we go to primary 2, we are going to see that students already added to primary 2. So we have to continue keeping track of the current class of all the students. Another important tool that is very useful here is the import and the export button that you are seeing up here. The import button enables us to do mass import into the database. You can actually have your detail on Excel sheet and then import it straight. So you don't need to do add student one after the other. If you already have them in an Excel, in a spreadsheet, you can just upload this straight into the database. But you have to be careful about using this. You have to know how to do that, which I'm going to walk us through now. We also have the export tool. The import enables us to import data into the database, while the export allows us to download details from the portal. So let's check all the students. We have all the students here. So let us do an export. Export simply means we are exporting into our devices. So I click on the export, and you can see when I click the export, we have the format. You can select different formats. Do you want it in CSV? You want it in XLS and any of these formats? Naturally, we want it in CSV. CSV is the Excel version of it. So we're going to be in the comma separated version. So we say we want it in CSV. And once you click submit, we can have all the data in this database downloaded to our computer. So I just click the submit, and you can see now that it's already downloaded. Student detail is already downloaded. If I open it, and you see from the export, we have already downloaded the information about the student that are registered in that portal right to our computers. We have successfully downloaded all the details of the student into our computer. So you can see here we have the first row there is the header. So let's bolden it so that we can see it better. And we have all the other data there. Let's expand them. So we can see it now. We have ID, we have the user, that is the username, but it's a relational code that you are seeing here. When you see the 3, 2, and all this, they are relational code, but we can see the student username proper here. Then we have the first name of the student, we have the middle name, the last name, the phone number, and as we have entered all those data in the form on the portal, we can see them display here. Where you see all these numerical numbers, they're actually relational code for each of those items that you see. The current class, the code for the current class is this. You can see this person is in the same class with this person. So this is just the code for the current. You don't need to bother yourself with that about the what the code simply means, but you can download the same file from the dashboard, from the admin dashboard, not directly from the admin panel. So if you download it from the admin dashboard, you can even have a clearer version of it. But directly from the super user environment, from the admin panel, you can download the detail. For us to import data into the database, we need to use the import button here. If you click the import button, it displays what is required for us to put in place to import straight into the database. So you can see that you prepare an Excel spreadsheet file, save in CSV that has all these headings. So the headings must be all this. You must put exactly as these headings, the ID, the user, the student username as it is written here, and put those data there. Then you can look for the file. Once you click choose a file, it takes you to the computer, look for that file, and then CSV, and then submit it. The data will be automatically uploaded straight to the database. That is how to load data into the database or export data from the database and check student detail, add new student, and filter by classes. Let's go straight to the staff module now. Let us add new staff. The same method we use in adding new student is just the same process to add staff. So if you go to staff profile, the department is creating all the departments in the school. If I click on department, we can see we have different departments: primary section, secondary section. We can add more department by using the add button. We say security section, and you can see that we add other department. We can see the junior secondary section as a department. Also, we can see a list of all the departments. We can add categories also, the teaching staff, the non-teaching staff. If we have other categories, we can add them. The staff profile enables us to see the profile of the staff. Like we can see the staff username, the last name of the staff, the first name, and the category the staff is. And then we can have class that the staff is in charge. We can add new profile, new staff profile here, following all the details in the form, entering accurate data, then submitting such data. We have the detail of the staff. We can use the export and the import button also to import data into the staff module or to export data from the staff module to our system. The result module enables us to check results, add results, and then add examination and upload results for the student under the result module. We have the exam subject where we add exam subjects. You can add more exam subjects. The examination enables us to add all the exams in the school, or as at the time of conducting the exam, we can add such exams so that it can enable us to set all the details for the report sheet. The result sheet enables us to enter detail of result for each student. Let's look at how to add result sheet for the student. Add result sheet. We need to pick the student ID, and that has to be the same with the student detail. The examination, the session, the term, the current standard of the student. We must be sure that is the current standard of the student. Exam date, we can pick the last day of the exam. Then here we pick the subjects. All the exam subjects are listed in alphabetical order here. Let's change the class to SS3 or SS2. Chemistry is subject. The student took chemistry in the exam. The continuous assessment score, which is 40, and the exam score is 60. So we cannot enter any data that is above 40 here. So the student scored 34, for instance, and in the exam 45. We pick the second subject, English. This is how we pick all the subjects for the exam and enter the mark for each of the entry continual assessment, and the exam. Then at the end, we see the remark, the class teacher comment, and the principal comment. The portal has made it automatically generated. If we don't see this in our portal, the class teacher comment and the principal comment, it will automatically be generated for us on the report sheet based on the total percentage score by the student. The total percentage, grading, and all the rest are automatically calculated for the student. So we can enter the next term begin January the 3rd, and we can save the report for that student. With this, the student will be able to download their result. This is a quick way of entering result for each of the students. A very important tool to use in the portal is the profile tool. Right down there, we see the users and we see profile. Every user that is registered on the portal must be profiled as a teacher, as a parent, or as a student. So each time you register a new user, you must profile the user. Let's go to the users and we see profile. It will list all the users that have been registered on this portal, and there we will see the user type. We can see this is an admin, this is a student, a student, a student, a student, and we have inactive. Whenever a new user is registered, the status is inactive. So we need to set it to the appropriate user type. Like Rachel was registered as a teacher. So we click on Rachel. We can see every other detail concerning that user, like the username, the profile code, and the image. If you want to upload the image for the user, want to add address and all that. But the most important thing to edit here is the user type. This is a teacher, so we click on this option and we see teacher. So we pick is a teacher. It takes us back and you can see the profile user type of Rachel has been edited to teacher. Then we have these two other users that are students. So we click on it and then scroll down there and pick it as student. Save it and then enter the next one as a student also. It is at this point that the user can access their profile to access all the tools available for that user type. Another tool in the portal is the quiz module. The quiz module enables us to set quizzes, tests, and exam. In order to set up CBT, computer-based tests for students, we use the quiz tools. It is called the quiz tools because it can be used to set up quizzes, to set up tests, and to set up exam for students. So under the quiz, we have the quizzes, we have the quiz result, and the quiz question. The first thing we need to do is to set up the quiz. That is the exam now. You can see those that are already set up here. We have for primary mock exam, nursery examination, and for this standard, for this subject. The CBT is conducted for subject, standard, and category of students. So we have the filter by the right here. We can see all the quizzes that are already been set here. We can add new quiz to our. In order to add a new test, exam, or quiz, we use the add quiz button at the top right corner here. And we can see the exam name in the form. We have all the options to put in the input on the form here. We have the exam name, the subject name, the standard, the number of questions, the time allotted for that exam or test, and the required score to pass. The exam name, let's say it is the first time exam. The subject is social study, or let's say the subject is computer for nursery 2. The number of questions is 4, or the number of questions is 100, or the number of questions is 10. You enter the number of questions here. Then we need to put the time because it's a CBT and it is time based. So the duration of the quiz in minutes. So if we put 1 minute, that's 60 seconds. If we put 2 minutes, that means 1 hour will be 60 minutes. If it is 30 minutes, we put 30 minutes. Then we can say the required score to pass is 10 marks, and then we require the student to score 7 to say the student has passed, or to score 5 to say the student has passed. The difficulty level we can choose. The difficulty level, is it easy, is it medium, is it hard, whatever difficulty level, but this can be customized to any level the school uses, or it can just be left as easy there. It doesn't really matter. So we have been able to set a CBT for first term exam nursery, but we have not set the questions and the answer. To set the question and the answer, we need to use the quiz question. If you come to the quiz, you see the quiz questions. So we need to get the quiz question, and this is where we can see questions that have already been entered. So we can add new question. The form for the new question, we have it here. We need to select the quiz. The quiz is nursery examination for technology, but we just enter a new one, primary mock exam or nursery examination. Let us enter a new quiz data. The form requires that we put in the quiz question here, select the quiz, and then the answers. Let's say we want to set a quiz. What is a noun? Then which of the quizzes? We have list of quizzes, we can add new and say we want a quiz that is we have the quiz selected, then the answer. These are the answer options for the student, but we're going to pick the correct one. Anyone that is the correct answer is what we tick here, and we can add more answers if we want the options to be up to 4, A, B, C, D, E, F. So we can add more options, answer options here. And if we are okay with the 3 options that we have selected, we have set a simple exam question. So we can see the question is already sent into the question list. Thank you for watching. We have come to the end of the video on the first series of the Schoolie site administration window.